Hey guys, Suzette the Marriage Warrior here, and I appreciate you guys coming and joining me today on my channel. Today we're going to talk about how childhood trauma affects your husband's mood and how he communicates. So many women deal with angry men. They deal with men that are aggressive rather than assertive, shut down rather than expressive, get defensive and attack really easily. And the question is, why is that? Well, because when you express a need to your husband, he doesn't hear the pain. He hears criticism. And if he's had childhood trauma, it connects to his childhood trauma of criticism. So he's hearing from you, who loves him, mama or daddy, and he doesn't connect to the emotion that you're feeling by something he probably is doing or not doing that he's unaware of, because he can't feel the emotion. Because in childhood, in the trauma, he shuts down himself and he doesn't feel. And that's a protective survival mechanism that he had to learn in order to survive those years of constant criticism and trauma from his family of origin system, whatever it was, the parents, the siblings, whoever was abusing him. That's what he had to do in order to survive. And if you have a grown man still acting like that, that means he's never healed from the trauma, which is not a good thing in a marriage, because if you have someone that has not been healed from their trauma, it is going to impact your life negatively, and you're not going to be able to communicate, because like we talked about in the last episode, communication is the number one problem of marriages and relationships. And we're talking about why it's a number one problem, because shutdown is not something you can communicate through. I mean, think about it. Doesn't that aggravate you when you know something's wrong in a relationship and you know you want to talk about it because you want to figure out what's wrong and they won't talk? That's infuriating. I know most of us have experienced that. The question is, have you ever operated in that? Like, have you ever done that? Because if you do it, then that means there's a wound inside that is not healed and you're impacting other relationships as a result of that wound. You got to heal that wound. Because how long do you want those relationships or expect those relationships to last when you continue to shut down? Listen, shutting down will isolate you. It brings you exactly in the place that you were when you were a child. So if daddy is yelling at you and criticizing you, what does a child do? They go isolate themselves. They get away from it. Right? They go in their room, play the video games, whatever they do to get away from that feeling of abuse. And so they learn that, people who have been abused learn that tactic on how to shut down. So when you as a spouse are trying to reach them, trying to communicate with them, trying to get a plan of action, and they shut down, where do you go? So that totally controls the environment between y'all, and it will end your relationship. If you're good to yourself, it'll end your relationship, because you will see that you cannot fix another person. Now you can ask them, I'd like to talk about it, but if they shut you down, what are you going to do about that? You can't make them talk. So if you're not going to allow them, they're not going to allow you to talk through an issue. You're going to repress it. You're going to shut it down inside of you. You're going to start feeling resentment. So it's not good for your soul. So then you're letting them control your emotions. So what does a person do if they're with someone who's shutting down or acting out in a very aggressive, it's passive aggression, aggressive way that is from childhood? Well, you got to either radically accept it or you got to leave it. That's what you got to do. You got to say, this is my life. And I'm just going to have to repress my own emotions and not get what I need met by this person. And communication is the number one need of people. Or I've got to leave. And that is a conversation no one wants to have. Because that conversation makes you think, how valuable are you to you? Are you going to let another person's trauma control you? Or are you going to give them an option to get help? Are you going to try to help them yourself? So that then you can say, if I don't radically accept this, then if I leave, I can leave knowing I did everything I could do. Because once you're shut down, there is no way they're going to let you back in. Now, until the relationship is over, they may give you some opportunities here and there when it's softer, an opportunity to say, hey, we need some help. Your words need to be, this is not livable for me. And if it's not livable for you to keep the repression going because you're shut down, they have to know that. They have to know what that means. Now, a very wounded man will take that as a threat, and he will get angry about that threat. But you have to know how valuable you are for you and decide what you're going to do with what they're offering you through the trauma that's unhealed. You're doing them a favor to push them to heal their trauma. If they're unwilling to do it, you have to continue to grow. I hope you like this content. If you do, give me a buzz on the subscription